Welcome to everybody, and good morning, Brian. For you is 6 a.m. in the morning, so good to see you. In Italy, we are at 3 p.m. Okay, thank you so much to everybody to be here for this new appointment with Fractal Saturday Live. And first of all, thank you very much to G66 to all support, and thank you so much to all my followers. Today, I would like to share with you some information regarding the reamping. And what is a reamp? The reamp, it is a method to record the guitar without, let's say, without record the whole sound, but only the dry signal of the guitar. So you can record only the guitar exactly in the same way that you plug your guitar in the audio interface without anything. Okay, you know the sound is terrible, of course, but you can use the same sound to address the signal to a digital device, Fractal, and so you can tweak your sound in a second way. Okay, in the standard registration, the standard recording, you play the guitar, okay, with your sound, and okay, if you say, oh, this sound is not good, it's too much distorted, too much gain, too much delay, too much bright, this and that. Okay, you have to make a new takes. Okay, you have no other possibilities. But what do you think if you record and you can change the sound totally in a second step? This is the reamp mode. It's not so easy, okay, because there is some automation you have to learn, not only with Fractal device, but especially with the DAW, and also the configuration of your PC. I will try to explain you. It's not so easy because also in the live stream I have to take care about the routing of the signal. So I hope that the audio and video works correctly. If there are some problem, please let me know by the chat. Okay. So we call this sound as mouse running sound. Okay. Thank you so much. Well, let's proceed. Okay, first of all, it is important. There are two methods to make the reamp. There is an analog method. It is quite common from the past that you plug the guitar in a reamp box. Reamp box is a box, okay, where you plug the guitar, one wiring, one cable are addressed and connected to the audio interface, the input, to record the dry signal of the guitar. And the other output goes to the amplifier input, so you play, and in the same time you can record the dry signal, and also you can hear the sound of the amplifier, and also you can record it. Why not? Okay? This is in the analog mode. So when you want to change the amp, you want to change the sound and so on, you mute the sound, you pick the dry signal, and you address this dry signal to the output of your audio interface and to the output to the input. So you stop to play, okay? And when you run the track with the dry guitar, automatically the signal goes to the amplifier and you can hear the sound exactly what you recorded before. And of course you can tweak to the amp in the real time. You can change the amp, you can add distortion, what you want. Then when it is okay, you can decide to press the rec button and start to recording. And what is the big benefit is you preserve the original dry signal as it is, and by the time you can change the sound, you can, after 1 week, you decide the sound doesn't work correctly. So you can do again this process without to play again. Okay, it's a big advantage. Many studio recording, many musicians use this technique. With Fractal, because it is a digital device, you can also use the digital interface, because as you know, any Fractal device is also an audio interface, and you can connect the digital, the Fractal via USB, and when you connect the USB, you have a new audio interface with some input and output, and you can use that input and output for the reamp mode. Okay, so first of all, I wanted to share with you the manual. I will work with the Fractal FM3, but the concept is the same for FM9 and AXFX3. And I can say that FM9 and AXFX3 has more options from this point of view. But for all users, I prefer to work with FM3. First of all, it is really important to use the manual. Manual is mandatory now. Sorry. Manual is really important to know how the interface work with your PC. So, as I told you, when you connect your FM3 on your PC, I'm sorry for the Windows users, but I work with Mac since a long time, so I cannot explain this Argo with Windows. But I assume that the process is a bit the same. Mac is much more easy from this point of view. As you can see here, there are some input and output that you exchange with the Fractal device, FM3 in this case. On FM9 and AXFX3, you have more input and output from the USB side. As you can see, the input 1 and 2 are connected to the output 1 of the FM3. That means that when you play on FM3, okay, the sounds that you produce is addressed to the output 1. And when you connect the FM3 to the PC via USB, you can use the USB 1 and 2 to record your sound. Okay, this is pretty easy. If you wanted to, use FM3 as an audio interface, you can simply use input 1 and 2 to record the sound of FM3. Nothing else. But you have also the input 3 and 4 available to record the output 2, okay, or the input 1 or input 2. It depends of the setup of the Fractal. What does mean? That you can record directly the sound, the signal of the input of the guitar. Input 1 or input 2. Input 2 is also stereo. Input 1 means that you have to use only the input 3. Okay? So if you, and I will show you later on, if you play something on AXFX3 and you record the input 3 of the FM3, you don't record the sound produced by FM3, but only the sound comes from the input 1. That means the dry signal of the guitar. In the same way, I have the output, and output 1 and 2 goes directly to the input of the FM3. Okay, to make the vice versa. So when you record the dry signal and you want to drive the dry signal to the FM3, you have to use the input 1 or 2, or in this case the input 3 or 4 that correspond in this moment on the input 1. Okay, it seems complicated, but I repeat, you record only the dry signal. Okay, when the dry signal is recorded, you press play on Logic. Okay, you can hear the dry signal is really bad, but you can address this signal to the input of FM3 again, and you can hear the sound in the same way that you are playing. Exactly the same, but you are not playing. The pre-recorded track is playing. Okay, I will show you better. But first of all, you have to understand which input and outputs are used. An important thing. In this moment, I'm working with my audio interface. I have an Audient ID44, and it is necessary to make the live stream because I use the microphone, I use something else. Okay, so it is necessary, first of all, on Mac.io to create a combined audio device. I will show you how it's possible. Okay, let me bring the MIDI audio app configuration. Is this, maybe some of you know this one. You can find this app on the the utility menu on your Mac. Okay, sorry for the Italian, but okay, I'm Italian, but it is pretty easy to translate. You have to click on the plus and create a combined device. Okay, or aggregate device should be the English translation, should be aggregate. What is aggregated device? The aggregated device, it is a combination of more audio interface. And as you can see here, I created this FM3 plus Audient interface. This is a combination of the FM3, because when you connect the FM3 via USB, automatically the Mac can see your FM3 like an audio interface. And also I have my Audient, or you have the Focusrite or Apollo, Universal Audio, any kind of. Okay, so you click on the desired devices like FM3, and you create a new device that is composed by this input and this output. You can imagine a big audio interface with the sum of input and output. As you can see here in the brown color, let's say it should be brown, it is the FM3 input and output, as you can see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And here I have the Audient interface. The number depends of the interface. Okay, in this case I have 22 inputs and 24 output. I don't remember. Okay, is it clear? Okay, now remember, this is really important, guys. Remember that the number of input is 26, not anymore 24 or 4 or what you want. It is the sum of the order of the input are sequentially. So your input 1 of the audio interface is not anymore the input 1, but in my case it is the input 5, because you combine it. Input 1 in this case it is the FM3. Input 2 is this FM3. It is the same input 3, 4. Then start the input of the audio interface. So when you see input 1 on your audio interface, is not anymore an input when you use the aggregate device. Okay? Perfect. The same for the output. Okay, this is really important to have the overview of the map of the I/O that you have to use with your DAW. Perfect. So let's come back to the logic. This is my logic. Where is it? I lost. Okay, this is my logic, and I create. It is something that I have already recorded. It is a song that I released yesterday. My song Scirocco. If you want it, please listen and tell me what do you think about this song. And I created two new input. This is input DI, because here I wanted to record my dry signal. Okay. Sorry, I wanted to open the inspector. This track use the input 3. Why input 3? Okay, because let's come back to the manual. Input 3 means the input 1 record a DI for reamping is also written. I don't want it to record the output, because if I set up the input 1 or 2, I don't record the input, the dry signal, but the output of the FM3. I want to record only the input, and this is the correct. So the input is input 3. And why it is input 3? Because, let's come back again, the FM3 is the first device of my aggregate device. So the correspondence of the inputs are correct. Perfect. In this case, I will not use the audio interface. But in case you use also the audio interface, remember that you have a combined display. If you don't use audio interface and you use the FM3 as audio interface, you have not such kind of problem. It's not necessary to use the other aggregated device, because I use FM3 as for both using. Perfect. Okay, so I can start to play. Let me check if everything is okay. Be patient. Let me check if there is something is working correctly. Why not? You can hear my sound, huh? As you can see here, there is something that is playing. Something is arriving to the input 1, but this is not the output, because if I, for example, I can show you, if I select the input 1, the signal is higher than before, because this is directly the output. It is exactly the signal that you are hearing now from distorted signal with the effects and so on. But we have to select the input 3 here. And now I can start to play. One recommendation, due to the latency, if I play now, I will have a delay in terms of recording, because the system has some latency. To avoid the latency, there is a very interesting method on Logic. It is the real-time mode, is a safe real-time mode, a low latency monitor. You can enable this. Let me check, because I customize the toolbar here to add this button on my toolbars. But as far as I know, you should find the low latency. Let me check. Let me check. here. You have to go to the audio and enable the low latency. Okay? With low latency, you have no latency when you play. To put the button directly to the toolbar, I suggest you to click the right mouse button on the toolbar, customize, and you can enable the low latency button here. So it is always ready to use. Okay? I suggest you to do this. It's much more easier. Okay, are you following me, guys? Too much complex. I cannot do nothing as it is. But you can see many times this video, and if you need, you can put the questions below the video. I will try to help you. Okay, guys. So input 3, and now I can start to record. Enable the low latency, and let's start the backing track. Okay. I make a wrong note. Sorry. This is exactly the live stream. Okay, I can redo recording, and let's start. Okay, and so on, and so on, and so on. Well, I'm lucky. I don't make any big mistake, so I can come back. Okay, the backing track continue, and I can leave the guitar. Okay. So now, what's happened? That what we record is not the sound as we already listen, okay, with distortion and so on, but only such kind of this signal I will show you. Okay. This is the dry signal. It's super bad. It is the same that you plug your guitar into the input of your audio interface. Exactly the same. Okay, perfect. Now we have to insert on the track, on the input track, in this place. Are you sure? Are you seeing? Okay, or you can use also the mixer. You have to insert this module. It is the I/O module. You can find it on the utility I/O. Use the mono version, not the stereo. Ciao, Alessandro. Okay. I already insert the input. Okay. And now I have to do the vice versa process. So I've already recorded the dry signal. Now I have to pick this signal and address the signal to the input of the FM3. Okay, which input? Let's come back to the manual. Okay, and to make the playback is super clear. I'm here in the page 26 of the manual. For the recording, I use the input tree. For the playback, I use the output tree. It's really simple. Input 1, input 3, output 3. Okay? It is also, the scheme is really, really clear. Okay? But if you do this, okay, it is not enough, because if I try to, okay, now I enable the plugin, because you can enable and disable. If I... Nothing happened. Why? Nothing happened because you have to set up your FM3 to receive the USB input. Okay? How do this? Let's come back to the editor. Okay. And you go to the setup menu. Go to the input, and from analog, you have to set up the USB channel 3, 4. It's already shown that USB channel 3 and 4. So click on USB channel 3 and 4. And if everything is correct, guys, cross the fingers. Cross the fingers. We should hear again the sound. Let me... Okay. Okay, let's... If I stop the plug... Yeah, guys. Now I'm only listening the sound, because it is... I'm not doing. I'm not playing now. I recap. I already recorded the dry signal. Now the dry signal is addressed to the input of the FM3, okay? Because now I am on output 3 here, okay? And on FM3, I select the input as USB channel 3 and 4. Okay? Now it's clear. Now I can change the sound. I can show you what's happened if I move. Okay, let me take this part. Okay, I can mute everything. Okay. Let me check. Okay. Now I can change the presets. Okay. Sorry, I forgot. When you, sorry, just a moment. When you make the playback, you have to close. Okay, you have to enable or disable the I/O. Otherwise, you have the double sound, and there is also the latency, and the latency create like a slapback effect. Now I can select the presets. Just a moment. Let's come back to the original preset. What is it? My fuse space. I lost. Okay, this one. Perfect. And now I can record my track, because now the sound is correct. I'm happy with the sound. So I press the record, and I can start to record This has to be enabled. Okay, the out IO that has to be enabled. Now I can type the rec, and let's see. Okay. Don't take care if you hear 2 times the same sound, because okay, due to the I'm connected via digital and analog, so maybe there is 2 sounds. I don't know if you hear the doubling effect, but now I disable the input now, and I can listen the recording. This I can mute the original sound and. Okay, and I created a new take with my sound. I can create another take with a different sound, and so on. I can create how many takes I want with different sound. I can change the sound, but the important thing is the first take with the dry signal that can let me to use different sound also in the second time. And it is very, very useful without using any extra interface or other plugins and so on. Okay, it's a bit complicated, so you have the videos, so you can backward and forward and check the part you don't understand, and in any case I'm available for any question. I see a question from Dario. Dario, please put your question in the chat. I'm here. Okay. Marco, can you also make a separate wet signal with okay, you have to consider when you have the dry signal, it is the same that the concept is the same that you play. So to record the dry or wet signal, it's up to the preset and what you want. For example, now I have recorded the track with this preset. Let me check. With this preset, with the delay, reverb, and so on, I can switch off the delay, okay, and to run the delay in a second time, or with a plugin. Could be interesting, for example, to make. We can try to do this because I think we can use the same method. Why not? We can try. So let me do the new track without any ambient effects, only the dry signal. Okay, this is the preset. I switch off all the ambient effect, and now I can. I don't know what is the sense, because you can do what you want when you have the dry signal, but exactly, you can do what you want. So delete this track, and we can record again. So enable the input, okay, and we can okay, do this. Let me start to record. Recording session. The input is enabled. Okay, let's go. can stop. Now, if I go to listen this track, okay, remember to disable the I/O plugin. Otherwise, the plugin drive the signal to the FM3. You have to switch on and off to avoid a double signal. So if I go to listen this. Okay, now I create a track with dry effect, no reverb, no delay, and I can do now the same things with the track, with this track, and for example, I can put the second I/O plugin here, not in the dry, of course, because otherwise you apply the effect on the dry signal. We wanted to have the dry signal, and you want to apply the effect on the distorted signal, the processed signal. So go to the recorded track, add the input, the I/O model, then output is 3 and 4. Okay, it is a stereo, but it is okay because it is also stereo. It depends. If you call that the input 3, it is mono, but if you call it 3 and 4, it becomes stereo. You know, from the manual, you can see here the input is 3 and 4. It is the same input, and also on the FM3, when you set up the FM3 correctly, and you can see here channels 3 and 4 as input 1. So it is mono or stereo. It's dependent of the using. Okay, let's come back, and if the let's come back to logic. Maybe it should be correct. Okay, output 3 and 4 is correct. What? Yes. Now we have to create a preset without the amp, without the cabinet, without the enhancer, and with the delay and plex delay, and also the reverb. Okay, volume can stay, doesn't affect anything. Cabinet has to switch it off. Okay, it is not possible to switch it off, but I can put a shunt, not a problem. If everything is correct, it should work. Because the logic is there. Okay, I drive the signal to the input 1, the signal go to the output, but processed by the... So, let's come back to logic and cross the finger and check if everything is okay. We can play only the track and... Wow. I don't hear anything. Why? Just a moment. Okay, because I'm in recording mode. No, doesn't work. Let me... Okay, there is something I have to set up. No, sorry. No, it's correct. This should be input 1 and 4. Okay. No, input is not necessary. Only the output is necessary. Let me check why. Maybe there is something that are interrupted. Okay, I have to check on the mixer. Yes, the input is arriving. Okay, there is something that are not working. Let me check why. Okay, where the signal stop? The signal stop on the let me check. This is a problem on the preset. The signal stop on this block. Maybe the amp. Okay, I forgot. Yes, because the amp is guys, you have to. The amp, it is in mute bypass mode. Okay, sorry. Okay, too much loud. So I have because the amp was in the mute bypass. I have to show there is a page where you can check every block, the input and output view meter of the blocks, and you can understand easily if there is something that interrupted the signal. And in my case, I discovered immediately that the amp block interrupted the signal because it was set up in mute mode. Of course, now the volume is much more because there is no amp and there's no cabinet and so on. So you have to correct the input and the output. But, okay, let's come back to the logic. Okay, let's come back here. And now we can see, you can hear the sound with the delay and reverb. I can go to I can also put the pitch. Okay? I have to set up. Okay? And this is a very good question because it is a valid method to record your fractal sound in the dry mode. Then you can use the fractal as outboard effect with the I/O plugin in the Logic. And this is really incredible. And so you can tweak the ambient effects or any kind of effect in a second step, and you can decide to record or play or what you want. And when you are sure, you record, and you have the dry track and also the effect track, and you can balance. Very, very, very nice method. And without any extra interface, without any other device, only using the USB. You have to remember that is really important to read the manual on page 26, where it is described how the system is connected via USB. And it is simple. It's input and output. And remember, output become inputs and vice versa, because you have to imagine two devices that speak together, and the output of one device goes to the input of the other one, and vice versa. So you have to think in this way. Okay? Very, very good. I don't see any other questions. Maybe this topic is pretty complex, and I'm sorry with the Windows user, but I don't use Windows since a long time for my music production, but I'm sure that you can find any other tutorial about this. And I think that the concept itself, it is the same, because the main part is to understand how the USB connection is made is realized between FM3 and the PC. Doesn't matter if it is Windows, Mac, and also I show you how it's possible to create the combined device, aggregate device, to put in the same device FM3 plus your audio interface. Very, very useful, very nice effect. So you can pick the sound from FM3. You can drive this is the method that I can hear the sound via audio interface, not via FM3, for example. Okay. So, thank you very much for your attention. Remember, if you have any question, put the question below the video. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and also the G66 sorry YouTube channel, and see you and have a nice weekend to everybody. Ciao guys, ciao.